So unmetered intelligence, Peter, seemed to be the buzzword of the day at Build. And, I have to say that, when I heard that, my first reaction was, I get it about the, distribution of the tests, and that, some things are better suited to running on the client, some things are better suited to running on the server, and, the Pareto frontier and all that. But on the other hand, part of me was thinking that, that Microsoft may be unwittingly cannibalizing themselves by putting more of the inferencing, for free on the client side. And, as you think about particularly Spark RTX, if that's the first wave of a new generation of PCs that have built-in, Blackwells or whatever, doing inferencing, to what extent does that, change the economics of how we think about, well, computing generally, Microsoft specifically, and an end user computing.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really challenging. And as you point out, there could be some negative consequences for a lot of presumed business models on top of this. Back to Jevons paradox, or however we pronounce that, where it's basically, hey, just keep turning it up, because no matter how much you increase supply, the demand is going to go along with you. But I do think there are lots of innovative things that can be done with local intelligence, and especially when we think about privacy and security. And again, this is, I'm sure, going to be central to the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference here in the next couple of days. But does this change things, or is this additive? Is this going to be, now it's better because you have the ability to leverage both of these things? I do think that there's a fair amount of just believe that this will come together. I think the distribution of this is not going to be easy, especially when we're crossing over into what we've discussed a few times as neurosymbolic, where it's not just LLMs, but it's also tying into both your personal data and enterprise systems. How do you make sure that you're going to do a coherent job of that without having inadvertent oversharing, for instance?
I would add, on the Jevons paradox, I just build on that thought, which is, as we have as adaptive compute, not just agents, but the thing that responds based on context becomes cheaper and more pervasive. If you have it on the client, you might be in a position to generate more of your user interface, or the user experience, and the other thing is, the trade-off when you fine-tune models is that it makes it harder for the cloud vendor to, be multi-tenant. So you might have the fine-tuned model on the client and the general intelligence, on the server, or if you have something fine-tuned on the server, it might be for serving a department or a process.